we're going to do 10,000 ounces this year. We keep talking about it, but we actually have to just do it.
The mining season in the Yukon had already been intense, but nothing could have prepared the gold mining world for what happened after episode 5 of season 16. For the first time all season, Parker Schnabel's entire operation had been pushed to its absolute limits. 3 wash plants had been running flat out for 7 straight days, a massive gamble that demanded fuel, manpower, patience, and nerves of steel. When the crew stepped into the gold room for the weekly cleanup, the energy in the air felt electric. Everyone seemed to sense that something big was about to happen. Even before the first pan touched the scale, a quiet excitement spread through the room. Parker, Tyson, Mitch, Chris, and the rest of the team gathered around the table with the exhausted but eager look of people who had worked harder than ever and now wanted to know if it had paid off. Their goal was to beat last week's solid 527 ounces. They had no idea just how far they were about to surpass it. The first cleanup of the day came from Roxanne, Tyson's plant working the sulfur cut. Roxanne had only recently stepped into the spotlight this season, and the sulfur ground looked promising. But promising and profitable are 2 very different things. No one was ready for what Tyson was about to reveal. Mitch couldn't resist teasing Tyson about having spent a little too much quality time with Roxanne that week. Tyson laughed it off and admitted the cleanup had been so massive he couldn't fit all the gold into the usual containers. He'd even had to stash the extra in his thermos because the scale tray couldn't hold it. Everyone chuckled, right up until the first pan hit the scale. Gold poured out like a glittering waterfall, forming a thick, shining layer. The scale finally steadied at exactly 300 ounces. But Chris wasn't finished. He reached into his bag and pulled out the thermos. The room exploded with disbelief. When the extra gold was added, the total shot past 350 ounces, about $1.25 million worth from Roxanne alone. The sulfur ground wasn't just rich, it was historic. At 150 yards an hour, the cut was producing some of the best gold Parker had ever seen. Tyson shook his head, amazed, saying that cleanups like this were what made all the long days and exhausting nights worth it. The mood shifted. Suddenly everyone realized this wasn't going to be a normal week. Next up was Bob's cleanup from the Dominion bridge cut. Bob was the quiet workhorse of the lineup. No drama, no flash, just consistency. Parker nodded for Chris to bring out the next set of samples. Chris dumped Bob's concentrates into the pan, and the gold immediately settled into a clean, steady pool, the unmistakable sign of reliable production. The final tally came in just under 200 ounces. Not as dramatic as Roxanne's jackpot, but solid, dependable, and exactly the kind of output Parker needed to keep the season on track. Dominion had proved itself once again. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Slucifer's cleanup from the Golden Mile. The Golden Mile has always been Parker's prized ground, the pace streak the entire season is built around. After running the plant hard all week, hopes were high, though everyone knew the Yukon had a way of humbling even the best dirt. As the first scoop of Slucifer's gold hit the pan, the excitement came roaring back. The flow of gold didn't stop. Scoop after scoop piled higher and higher until the room fell into stunned silence. When the final ounces were added, the total soared past 260 ounces, roughly $1.6 million from the Golden Mile alone. 3 plants, 1 week. And the numbers were exploding past anything they had dared to expect. When the totals from all 3 plants were combined, the scale flashed a number that even made Parker do a double take. 881.5 ounces in a single week, more than $2.5 million in gold. It crushed last week's 527-ounce haul and became one of the biggest weekly cleanups Parker's crew had ever pulled off. To put it in perspective, Parker reminded everyone that at this point in last year's season, they had only produced 288 ounces, less than what a single plant delivered this week. Now they were sitting on more than 2,000 ounces worth over $7 million, and more than a third of it had come from this week alone. Chris joked that if they could pull numbers like that every week, the season would be one for the record books. Parker laughed, saying they'd just have to repeat that performance 10 more times, and maybe add a few bonus weeks. As the crew stood around the towering pile of gold, the room filled with awe. Someone pointed out they were staring at more than $2.5 million in raw metal sitting right on the table. Another joked about handing out gold pans like party favors. Laughter spread through the room, but beneath it was a serious realization. They had achieved in 1 week what used to take an entire season. Parker didn't hide his amazement. He said seeing that much gold in one place felt unreal, almost hypnotic. But then he shifted from excitement to business. Every speck of that gold needed to go straight into the safe. No exceptions. When you're holding more than $2 million, security becomes very real, very fast. This week marked a turning point for Parker's season. The record-breaking cleanup didn't just lift spirits, it completely changed the trajectory of the year. The high-risk decision to run 3 plants at once had paid off spectacularly. It validated his massive investments, his crew's relentless effort, and the belief that this might be Parker's best season yet. For viewers watching at home, the weigh-in delivered one of the most jaw-dropping, thrilling moments in Gold Rush history. Pure shock, pure triumph, and pure exhilaration all at once. As Parker locked away more than $2.5 million worth of gleaming gold, one thing became unmistakably clear. This wasn't just a good week. This was a declaration. Parker Schnabel and his crew had officially redefined what a single week of mining could achieve. For fans watching from home, this is the moment when Gold Rush becomes more than a show. It becomes a story unfolding in real time. Viewers have followed Parker since he was a teenager, witnessing his victories, setbacks, and constant reinvention. But Season 16 feels different. The stakes are higher, the operation is bigger, and Parker's ambitions are sharper than ever. The 880-ounce week didn't end a chapter. It started a new one. Now, every cleanup has the potential to be another massive haul. Every hour of machine time could mean the difference between breaking records or breaking down. And every decision Parker makes, where to dig, which ground to prioritize, how to assign manpower, could alter the direction of the entire season. This is the version of Gold Rush that fans live for. Raw uncertainty, enormous risks, and the sense that Parker might be on the brink of one of the greatest seasons of his career. He's chasing new records, bigger totals, and possibly a season that could go down as one of the best ever captured on camera. To see how far he can push the limits, fans will have to stay tuned through the setbacks, the triumphs, and the unpredictable chaos of mining in the Yukon. Season 16 isn't slowing down, it's gaining momentum, and Parker Schnabel is right at the center of the most ambitious run of his life. Please subscribe to the Timeful channel, and don't forget to hit like.